looking at different production environments and machinery and such, and picking up the production counts from those. Let's discuss some of the different scenarios. And this won't cover all of the scenarios, but it will cover the common ones. So if I have a single machine and I'm feeding into it empty containers, and I have a chute up here with caps, and I am feeding off full containers um, with caps over here. The typical OEE type scenario is to count the number of empty containers going on or into your machine. And that's called the in-feed count. And to count the number of full containers coming out. So from this we can derive quite a bit of information. For example, if we had 100 empty containers go in and we only got 90 out, and we have a reject table over here, and there's 10 of them out here, then we know that we produced 90 good units. We know we fed in 100, and maybe our standard rate is 100 per minute, and so we know that our performance is 100% based on standard rate being 100, but we know our quality is only at 90% because we only got 90% of them out here. So we can derive quite a bit of information from these two counters here. But in the real world, this isn't always practical. Maybe you don't have a sensor here. Maybe you can't accurately count them. Any number of things. So we do support where if this is not possible, that we just use the outfeed count. And what we do in this case is we derive the infeed count. So we take our outfeed count, which in this case is 90, and if we know this count, our waste count, we add that back to it, and that gives us our infeed count. And then we can do our normal OEE calculations based on that. If this is 0, then our outfeed count is 90, and our performance is going to be off by that amount. And that's another option as well. The other scenario I want to look at is if we have multiple machines on a production line. And again, a production line is running one type of product at any given time. So if we're feeding in containers here and they end up and we're getting cases out this side. Okay, we can have an in-feed count here. And we can have an out-feed count here. And we can do all the same calculations. Now, we may have 10 containers in each case, and so we factor in the package count. You can also have different package counts at each level or stage of it here, but that's factored into it, and we calculate the performance based on that. Now, sometimes it's not practical to get your in-feed count here. So if that's not practical, you can use other options. So it maybe is practical to get it in here. And maybe they're just too backed up and you can't count accurately, but maybe you can, coming out of this machine, you have good spacing of that product. So in that case, you get your in-feed count from this location. Last scenario I want to talk about is something that is not discrete processing. So, you know, you could have coming into this, um, you know, a positive displacement pump, and you might have a flow meter here that it runs through, and we're measuring gallons or liters. Okay, you might have you go down, you do a bunch of other processing and things in here, but at some stage you might have a divert valve uh, that, you know, good product goes this way, bad product goes this way, and you might have another flow meter over here that measures the good product. So if this flow stops and this flow is still continuing, you know you're producing bad product, and you can basically count, you know, the number of gallons that are bad by doing that in the PLC or control system or in formulas and ignition. But then you can keep track of your good product here. So it really doesn't have to be widgets or containers or cases or anything like that. It can be fluid as well.